Skill tests are the cornerstone of the 2d20 system. The path of the players can be boiled down to the outcome of these tests. It's how you generate action points. It's essentially how you progress in the game. So it makes sense that you'd want to do everything you can to help you and your fellow players succeed on these tests. Greetings, Vault Dwellers, and welcome to the Wasteland. This is your Overseer speaking, Three-Eyed Townie, and today we're going to be taking a deeper look at skill tests for Fallout, the Tabletop RPG by Modiphius. This video is a continuation of a Learn to Play series, where I'll be breaking down the core rules of the game. In a previous video, I covered the basic principles of skill tests, but now we're going to be expanding on that to cover all the different types of tests that you're able to perform. First, let's talk about difficulty 0 tests. In certain situations, the difficulty of a test might actually be a 0. The game master might decide that the action is too simple or mundane, or maybe the player has a certain piece of equipment, an item, or a special perk that reduces the test difficulty. With the difficulty 0 test, the player doesn't actually have to roll. They could just simply succeed on the test. But difficulty 0 tests are an excellent way to gain action points for your party. Just remember that if you do roll on a difficulty 0 test, you still run the chance of rolling a complication. Now, let's talk about opposed tests, which is exactly what it sounds like. The player is attempting to do something, but some external force is trying to stop them. Typically, this would be an NPC under the control of the game master, but it could also be player versus player. The opposing character rolls their test with the option of purchasing additional d20s. However many successes that character rolls becomes the difficulty for the player on the test. The player then rolls against the difficulty, also with the option of purchasing additional d20s. The player succeeds if they meet or beat the difficulty of the test, but if they fail, the opposing character could generate action points off the test. So here's an example. Say the player is attempting to run inside a burning building to save someone, but an NPC decides they want to try to stop them because they're afraid it's too risky. The NPC would then roll a strength plus athletics test to try to stop the player from entering. For this example, let's say that the NPC rolled 2 successes, so that makes the difficulty of the test for the player a 2. Now, for example, let's say the player only rolled 1 success. The player failed the test, and the NPC actually gained 1 action point from the opposed test. There could also be additional factors applied to the test other than just the NPC. For example, let's say that it's difficult terrain or it's dark out. These things could factor in to either enhance the difficulty or subtract from it. If it's 2 players opposing each other in a test, action points from the group pool cannot be used. If they want to use action points, they have to purchase those from the game master, and no action points can be generated off successes from the test. Now, let's talk about assistance. Teamwork makes the dream work, and skill tests are no exception. There might be certain situations where the game master allows a player to help a fellow player in a skill test. The game master will then determine what attribute plus skill is going to be used for the assisting test, and the cool thing about this is, it doesn't have to be what the leading player is using. The assisting player can only roll 1 d20 with no option to purchase additional d20s, and their roll only counts if the leading player scores at least 1 success. Critical successes and complications can be generated by the assisting player as well. Now, let's talk about group tests. Group tests are intended for when the party is attempting to do something together. Maybe they're trying to sneak past a potential threat or tread through difficult terrain. Similar to assisting, one player is designated the leader and they roll their 2 d20s with the option to purchase 3 additional through action points as normal. The other players in the group will roll 1 d20 and use their own attribute and skill. Like assisting, the leader must score at least 1 success on their rolls, otherwise the rest of the group's rolls won't count. If the total success of the group meets or exceeds the difficulty, then they pass the test. Any complications generated by the group are resolved after the test is complete. Now, let's talk about success at a cost. There may come a time when, despite failing the test, the game master may actually allow you to succeed if you're willing to accept a number of complications. Now, typically this would only be 1 complication, but depending on the test, they might ask for more. If the player determines that the cost is simply too high, they can fail on the test. When succeeding at a cost, the player cannot spend action points to alter the outcome. Group tests and assisting are great tools to get your players talking at the table. It gets everyone involved in the action so nobody's sitting out. Opposed tests help resolve complex situations where other players or NPCs might be involved. Succeeding at a cost can create this dark twist of fate where the player can achieve what they're after, but just not in the way they hoped for. Utilizing these additional aspects of skill tests in your games will offer your players a variety of options when taking on the Wasteland. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you found this breakdown helpful. If you did, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. This video is a continuation of a Learn to Play series, and we have so much more still to cover. And if you don't want to miss when the next video is coming out, hit the bell for notifications. As always, you can find the Fallout 2D20 unofficial fan community everywhere on the internet. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Reddit. We have a very active Discord community as well, and I'll leave links for that in the description. You can also find me everywhere on the internet too. I'll leave links for that in there as well. And if you haven't already, you can pre-order Fallout the Tabletop RPG by Modiphius directly from their online store, and I'll leave a link for that in the description too. Thanks again for watching. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and of course, I'll see you in the Wasteland.